All right, good to go. Hello, welcome. Good evening, good morning, good whatever. Welcome to Legacy Gamescast episode 14. Um, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good? Good.
Well,
All right.
Tired.
Nice.
Hot around here. Hot.
With us, as usual, every week, we have Sovereign Dude. Nick, what's up? How you doing?
Great. Thank
All
you
right.
for asking.
You good? Narzel, Andreas, how you holding up, buddy?
I'm still tired, but I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's been a long day for you. Maybe you'll
Not
get to that
long,
later.
yes,
Maybe you
thank
won't.
you.
Oof. Yeah. Shazam 3-2. Speak. Daniel, what's going on, man? You all right?
Yeah. I could be better, could be worse. It's a Friday.
And with us once again, Apothic, Rachel, how you doing?
hey, I'm good. Thanks for
Alright.
having me again, guys.
Of course. Of
No
course.
problem.
All right, so we have a topic, but we'll get to that in a minute. Obviously, if you've watched this show a few times, you know a few things about us, and one of the things that we love is Destiny. And something very big happened yesterday, and we're going to go around the room, get some impressions briefly before we jump into the topic. Yesterday was the big gameplay reveal for Destiny 2. Very exciting stuff. They showed a lot. They showed some new cinematics. They showed a lot of gameplay. They showed PvP, PvE. They showed the first mission. I wanted to talk to you first, Rachel. I don't think you played the first game. I think you're a PC only gamer. I'm not.
No, I used to be. I used to have an Xbox, so
Okay.
I think I got to level like 4 or 5 on Destiny before I
okay.
stopped playing. So I have
Okay.
like bare experience with the game.
Right. So coming from someone without a lot of experience with the first game, if you checked out the stream yesterday, what were your thoughts? What were your impressions? What stood out for you?
Yeah, so I did watch the stream all the way through, and it looks really awesome. It really reeled me in. I really like the whole clan kind of dealio that they're doing. I used to play a lot of WoW, so guilds were like a big part of my gameplay for that. So I was super excited that they announced clans, because I know Destiny 1, there was kind of an awkward way to get groups together to run raids and stuff, so I think that's going to be super convenient. And I love how they cater to both solo players and group players, and they especially emphasize like the group playing with Destiny, which I could totally see. I could totally see myself having a blast playing with like a bunch of people. So yeah, I definitely think I'm going to get it for sure. I'm really excited for it.
Cool. Yeah, the group thing is definitely key, because for me, I almost stopped playing Destiny 1 shortly before the Dark Below came out, because I was a solo player for the first 3 months of the game's existence, and there was nothing I could do, and I didn't want to. I'm very shy a little bit at times. How can you tell I'm hosting a show right now? I hated going on LFG looking for people, looking for strangers, but for some reason on
What
Dark
is
Below,
LFG, Frank?
LFG
What is
is
Dark Below?
looking for group, and it's basically something that should have been in the game, and it sounds like they're adding something of this nature in Destiny 2. It's when you want to go out and put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm looking for more people to play this end-game activity that requires 6 people. I can't do it alone, I need your help. Or the opposite side of that is LFM, and it's looking for more, where that could be a group of 2, 3, 4 people looking for another couple people. And the Dark Below is Destiny's first expansion content. So by the time that came out, I guess that was it December, January, whenever it was, I almost left the game for good. And this guided games that Rachel talked about would have actually kept me playing the game. So I'm really glad they're adding something in there, and that they realize that they've got to cater to their solo players as well as their pre-grouped players. So Narzel, Andreas, I know you're very excited to talk about this. I want to bounce over to you and see what you think, what you thought, what were the key things that you wanted to see going in, and that whether they delivered on them or not.
What I wanted to see mostly was revamped classes, subclasses for everything, and I was not disappointed. I can tell you that.
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff. I can't wait to be a Dawnbleed and just rain fiery death from above. It looks incredible.
How does the fucking the one developer guy? He's just like, so you're up there, you're flying up there, and you just go.
Can I comment on that real quick? Dude, 100%.
Of course.
That was hilarious. This is beautiful.
It was
That's
so
passion right
cool.
there.
It was so cool to me because
because you look at what that guy's his job was like main FX director or something like that.
Yeah, he
And
was
so
the
this
FX director. This isn't a
yeah.
doc, by the way. It's just like they were doing a Destiny doc, and this guy did a talking head as the FX director. He was talking about this new super you can do. Anyway.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, you should, but it's like an hour long. But Destiny 2, like Destiny 1 let a lot of people down. That's where the three of us met each other, so that's kind of why it's got a soft spot for us. But I just want to make a comment that the guy that's the FX director for this game, because this game has always had really good, like it's got the Bungie thing that Bungie has, which is Destiny 1 had it and Destiny 2 seems to have it, which you feel like you're a badass. And I always, you attribute that to people like the effects director, and the guy's literally, for like, you can't really see me, for the audio listeners, but he pulls his hand out. He's like, okay, and so then you pull out your sword, like he knows that feels cool. And I think that even in like the cinematic where one of the main characters throws down this defensive bubble. It's one of the abilities in the game, and he throws down this defensive bubble, and he gets, everybody get with me, like the classic cliche, I'll save you. And that's kind of what the whole game feels like. It feels like get behind me, I got this, at different times, and it's this, you all have your abilities and stuff, and all the way they work together. It's going to be really cool because the game, I was so salty at that game, man. Like I used to bitch at Frank and Andreas for like hours about how I wish the game was better. But like a lot of my concerns were addressed. And like I said, or like we've said on other shows, like you can't get your hopes up too high, aka Andromeda high. But I have a lot of faith in Luke Smith, who is the game director for this game. Primarily because he was the one that created the expansion for the original Destiny called The Taken King. And it brought a ton of new stuff to the game, and in my opinion, saved the game. The game was going to die. Absolutely. It was out, and he created this. He revamped a lot of stuff with the engine they already had, mind you. Still, because they released the game on both old consoles and new consoles, so you have this kind of weird engine where and he basically his vision for that saved the game. And the same guy is the lead game director for Destiny 2. So that's why I'm so excited for it, because it's someone who gets it. And he actually has a quote in the vid doc, which just it embodies his attitude, because he talks about like what they want the game to be. You can go watch it, but I love this quote where he goes, "We really wanted to get rid of as many things interrupting you from putting your gun in the bad guy's face." Like that whole idea of hurry up and wait that I think a lot of MMOs fall victim to. They want to get rid of. So I'm really excited. The beta's coming out, and I imagine all of us here will be playing it. So
yeah, they definitely recognize what the absolute, without question, purest part and maybe best part of the game was, and that was the gameplay, the guns, everything just felt wonderful. You could say anything you wanted about, matchmaking or lack of LFG or the lore not being in the game or what is the story, no one knows. You could say anything you want about all of that stuff, and it's well deserved. But the gameplay and the way the gunplay felt was so good, and they know it. And I'm really glad that like you brought that up, because that is an excellent point, that they realized, hey, we got to get out of these players' way and let them get to what the good part is. So that's really great. So Andreas, was there anything else? You mentioned the subclasses. Was there anything else that really jumped out at you yesterday? Just making sure.
Double primaries.
Double primaries. Nothing about a roaming Titan super.
No, I don't think so.
Roaming Fist of Havoc that didn't get you all excited.
No.
Yes.
I get my hands on that shit.
So Luke put it best over on Fire Team chat today. He said, "Oh yeah, that Titan super where you basically just get to walk around and be a jerk." And Andreas is very excited about that. So Daniel, you also stopped playing not too far into the original Destiny. What jumped out at you besides some of the stuff you already talked about? Anything that caught your attention, got you excited?
I stopped playing. I think I got through the Dark Below, and then I got in a little bit during the Taken King because you guys were all talking about it, and I was like, well, okay. And I got through it. I kind of saw it was better. I actually want to go back and get acquainted with that part of the story. I dug deep into all this stuff. I will echo what a lot of people said about it, that it seems like Destiny, and I don't know what I was expecting, but it was a little bit more than what I saw visually. But I gotta say, man, that Arc Strider was another super that was available to hunters, and I'm totally a hunter everything, except for maybe that Captain America style Titan super that looked really amazing. There's this new one, and it's like you have a staff of lightning or something like that, and you go dashing through the air, and you're just whipping around, and you're like, apparently you're just like smacking people in the face, and you're landing, and you're like throwing it on the ground, and it's spiking electricity everywhere. I was looking at that, and I was like, there's something to this here, and I'm definitely going to be doing that immediately once I have a chance to get into the beta. The other one was the Titan thing. The Titan super that I saw was that you could have a shield. It's called like the Sentinel, and you could have a shield, and you could throw the shield at enemies, and it would literally bounce off of them, like from one enemy to another, and destroy them. And it seems exactly. Is that not exactly like the Captain America?
Yes, it is.
Using his shield?
It's absolutely Captain America, and the fact that it's called a Sentinel, Captain America Sentinel of Liberty is a thing. It was a comic book. It's no surprise that they absolutely. Marvel might be giving them a phone call.
Dude,
It's basically Captain America.
Fair play to you, mate. That is fine. If you take something like that, as long as it's awesome, I don't care if you copy it. I'm really excited about that, and I'll probably play Titan just for that. Also, the environments looked amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Particle effects, everything looked incredible.
Yeah,
the flames,
the
everything
environments
was
were so
beautiful.
much more interesting.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's a few overall. I'm a C+ about it, but I definitely see a lot of things that are getting excited about, and enough to get into the beta for sure.
Cool. Yeah, it's not all roses. There's some things we can complain about, but let's move along and save that for another night. Maybe we'll do a special on Destiny soon. Nick, what are we talking about tonight? What do we got on the agenda?
Spooky, scary skeletons, primarily. We're going to talk about I want to say a relatively new genre of video game, but maybe not, but maybe in popularity, yes. And that is the horror genre, the suspense thriller genre of video games. I think that they've gotten more and more popular because of the ability to have immersive graphics. Finally, it was hard to have stuff be scary before, and it's getting there. I remember there was things about video games that scared me, like going underwater in Super Mario 64, when like you had to get like that, the dragon underwater. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Or the stupid dog ball, cannonball dog on the chain. Chomper, what was his name?
Yeah, that was Mario 64. Yep.
Yeah, that shit was scary, man. But like there was a lot of games that scared me, like from like a suspense way. But I'm talking games that like that's their job, and I want to talk both opinions on that because they're kind of divisive. People either love them or they hate them, and also like what's the appeal and what are some of the best games that we've played for that, or maybe recommendations to people that either are thinking about trying one out, or what circumstance should you try one out. And I remember my first real exposure to a horror game. There were many before it. I heard about a game called Penumbra, but I didn't play it. And then there was a game came out that is arguably one of the best horror games of all time. It's called Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and it was created by were they a private studio, Andreas? Right?
Can't remember.
I believe that I believe it was so famous because it was made by people that were independent. I could be wrong.
They were independent. Yeah.
It was effectively an indie game. Yeah, they went independent and they published it. And this game was terrifying and immersive, and the graphics were not even that great. But it was just the fact that they made such an environment and they focused on sound design. And it was the first game I ever played where there was no fight mechanics. There was no like shoot. I had played Fear, but things in general, and Fear, we'll talk about that. I know Daniel wants to talk about that. Fear was scary, but things are inherently less scary when you have a way to fight back against something. Doom for PS3, like Doom 3 or whatever, was a very jump scare horror game. I played that. But Amnesia, man, that shit was so scary because they knew that it was better to not show anything 95% of the time. And it was the first game that, I don't know, have you guys played that game for my reference?
No.
I have. I played it when it first came out. I think I saw the teaser trailers and I got really excited for it immediately.
Did you beat it?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
beat
so,
it,
like-
but I was talking with a friend over Skype the whole time through, and I always let him go first to scout out the area.
Like, mild spoilers just for the beginning. The game starts out with the perfect horror premise, which is you wake up and you're reading a note to yourself about why you had to drink something to erase your memory. And you go, so it's this puzzle game, a lot like Myst, if you guys are familiar with that. It had very Myst-like qualities to it, but you get into this castle and you're having these flashbacks and these memories that are triggered by things you see, and it's this guy talking to you and you don't know if he's good or bad, and you're remembering these conversations you had, and you remember things you said to yourself, and like you are slowly descending into this castle and you're encountering, and instead of having, like, I'll stop ranting about this particular game a little bit, but what's so cool about this game is instead of having what a lot of games before that had, which was like Doom 3 was jump scare based and it was very another monster, oh my god, they might come out at any moment, but this game had one monster that you knew of, and he was two eventually. There's the two kinds, but there was these two monsters, and you only saw them every now and again, but it was very clear when you did. And when they saw you, your options were to run and hide, or die. And the life mechanic of this game was the coolest part to me, is if you had a lantern, and you could, that's all you could see with the lantern. You're walking around seeing stuff, but the mechanic was health, obviously, but if anything got to you, you just died. There was no like fight back. You just were dead if anything caught you. But you would slowly go insane if you were in the darkness too long. And your lantern was a means to restore your sanity. And like you'd be in the dark and like your vision would start going crazy and you start hallucinating because you're so scared, and like you'd hear your heart rate. Eventually you'd just be like only able to crawl really slowly, and you had to get light to like look at the light because you're in just complete darkness and you're going crazy from fear. It's pretty cool. If you guys haven't played Amnesia: The Dark Descent, I am 100%. And that is one of the best horror games of all time, because it's also a puzzle, so it's not just running.
I would say that was the game that popularized horror games and made it such a big thing on YouTube after that. Well, the subsequent years after that.
Yeah, because people were doing all kinds of Let's Plays of Amnesia and stuff, right? Kind of blew up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, have you guys heard of? There was a DLC for the Amnesia, and there was also a full expansion. I think, right? It was a machine for pigs or something like that.
Yeah, a whole
People,
new game.
Yeah, people said it was not as good, right? Did you guys
Yeah.
actually see that game?
Yeah,
I played it.
it wasn't very good.
But it
Not-
was
not
made
good?
from another company.
Right.
Yeah, another company made the game.
But there was a DLC for the original game or whatever by, I think, the same company that
Yeah.
made the original game, called Amnesia Justine.
Justine, that's what it was.
Yeah. And I didn't play it, but I did watch a playthrough of it. That one was really good too. It was less about just like running scared all the time, and it was more about kind of a psychological manipulation kind of a thing. Like without giving too much away, there were like these situations where you would have these people and you could choose to help them or like gain an advantage for yourself, or like you could do something good in a hard way, or you could do something bad in an easy way, and that kind of stuff. And like there was still lots of scary stuff going on, for sure. But then they laced in this really fucked up backstory that like has to do with the characters in there and like even yourself. And it's got a pretty cool twist. I would say I almost enjoyed that one, just the DLC, more than the actual game itself. Watching it and going through it. Highly recommend that one, even though I haven't actually played it. But
That's my rule.
What
If I
I
watched
think.
it,
Oh, go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
if I watched it, I can't play it. That's how it goes.
well, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't play it if you already.
That's my rules.
Like it's kind of like a horror movie, that you've already
Yeah.
seen.
I've watched parts of games and then stopped watching them and bought it because I'm like, okay, I would really like this.
Oh yeah, totally.
But I think that the Amnesia itself was just so good because it had a really good, compelling mystery to it. It had like I referenced Myst again, like this whole like what the fuck is going on feeling, and that gave you a reason to want to go into the scary room, right? Like instead of that whole other horror games where it's like I don't want to why you felt compelled because like I wonder what I am doing here, and this whole sense of mystery behind it. And there was lots of puzzles in that game too. It was a puzzle game, puzzle survival.
Right, the puzzles drove it forward.
So like you'd have to go find a wooden dowel or something and place it in the thing, and then that would progress the story. And there was no instructions. There was no. It was very like figure it out. And I think that we've talked about this on the show before. Games that treat their player base like they're smart are often well received, and games don't hold your hand are well received. So
absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
My experience with horror games is a little weird. I was looking around because I was like, okay, does that count as a horror game or is it kind of an action game? You know, the Resident Evil series, Dead Rising, and I look at the list of horror games on Wikipedia, and I mean it includes all the way back to the Castlevania series, just all kinds of stuff that I've absolutely played, but doesn't really. Because like you said, there's like a new genre of horror that's come out in recent years, and I think a lot of it has to do with technology, Nick. Because you're right that they're doing something different now, and I haven't played a lot of these games. I haven't played Fear, I haven't played Dead Space, I haven't played Amnesia, none of them. So I don't really have any exposure to the new breed of horror games. I mean, I played Resident Evil 7, which was great, but
that's up there with it. Yeah, that's
that was really good. That was reimagined for the new era. I really enjoyed that game, and I love those games. I also like jump scares. They make me laugh. Sometimes they'll get me and scare the shit out of me, but most of the time I just laugh at it, and it's fun. But, that's a lot of my exposure to horror games. I don't know. What about you, Rachel? What are your? Have you ever played any? Did you have any that jumped out at you?
Well, before this week, I'd never really played any horror games. I'd watched like those Amnesia walkthroughs and whatnot. So like I'm familiar with the genre. But I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to like scary like movies and scary games. So I steered clear from them for like several years. And it wasn't until this week that I actually like stopped and I was like, I'm actually gonna play a horror game and like see what this hype's about. Like, why do people love them so much? And so the game I played was it's called Layers of Fear, and it's classified as like a psychological horror game, and it was actually really enjoyable. Like I think I would play another horror game after playing that one. This one was very like story driven, and it actually has 3 different endings. So your actions you do in the game affect the outcome at the end, which I thought was really interesting. And there were it was a really interesting experience for me. There were a lot of jump scares in this game too, which really caught me off guard. I jumped a lot, but it was fun overall. It was really fun. I played it with my brother too. There's no way. I don't think I could ever like play a horror game by myself. Like in the middle of the night with all the lights off. I couldn't do that. But it definitely like opened my eyes to like, oh, like this isn't so bad. Like that was actually kind of enjoyable. Like I might actually, play another game in the future. So yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, that's pretty much the only like horror game I have any experience with. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I have such a backlog on GameFly. I'm still trying to get through it. I need to put some of these games on there and check them out because I do enjoy that stuff. Especially like I enjoy the psychological ones. I enjoy the ones that are steeped in some sort of reality, and it just makes your skin crawl. You know what I mean? I love the jump scares, but I also like that where it's like, okay, that could actually happen, and that's scary as hell.
Yeah, wait till you play Outlast, dude.
Scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jump
I want
scares
to talk
are
about
cheap
Outlast,
stuff.
but I also I'm with Daniel that jump scares are cheap and they are lame. And they can be done under certain circumstance, but jump scares are I hate them. I hate them so much because generally I know when they're gonna come, and that's what makes them suck. Like, okay, let's talk jump scares real quick. Jump scare that's not okay is the classic like new age movie one where it's like somebody's looking through a peephole, and then the monster's like, bah! And it's like, bah! And then it's like coming this summer. Like that sort of jump scare is stupid. What is cool? Have you guys seen the movie Signs?
Yes.
No.
There's 2 jump scares in that movie
it's
that have
terrible.
no sound. They have no sound at all. It's just you realize what it is, and that makes it scary. There's this scene where Mel Gibson is going to like look underneath this doorway, and like the hand of the alien comes out at him, but literally it's just the hand. There's no like or anything like that. It's just the hand, and the jump scare comes from holy shit, that's the hand. Like, and I think that those are cool, like where it's like almost like natural fear.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well-placed ones, if you don't overuse it, if you don't rely on it as a crutch, if it's not the entire basis of your horror, they can be well used. Like, there was one in Prey tonight that got me, and it didn't really scare me, but it definitely made me jump out of my seat when it happened. I was like, whoa, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Because it was like, I don't want to ruin it for people, because it's a nice, scary moment. I did something, and I went to a certain point in the hallway, and I was like, okay, I'm going to turn backwards and go back. I don't want to go this way. So I did the same something again. And the second time I did that thing, lights went out and a jump scare happened, and it scared the shit out of me. I was like, okay, I didn't see that coming. So when it's clever and it's well placed and you're not doing it every 30 seconds, I like them. But yes, overdone, cheesy, the obvious ones where you see it coming, I totally agree. Totally.
Yeah, with the music and stuff.
Yeah, with the music hit. Here's the thing. Like, just to break it down a little bit. Like, I was watching this movie once, like years ago. I think it was called like The Fog or something like that. It was a story about like there was ghosts coming to like a city. Did you see that? It was like ghosts were in a city, a coast city, causing problems or something. But there was this one scare in there, like it was just full of these jumpy scares type things. And Andreas, I'm sorry, I might just be shitting on a movie that you like right now, but it's too important to not, just cover this. No, like it was just this one part, because they were like the main characters are walking along this road, and they're like, it's just a road. There's not like these creepy caves on either side, like it's a standard highway, and they're just wandering down it, and the camera's looking straight down the road. They're walking, and then this guy, there's a big, like orchestral hit, it's just like, oh my god, and then this guy, he just comes waddling into frame from like the right side, and based on what's going on like in the scene, like there's the road, there's like a field over here, the guy just kind of walked towards them from just to the right. Like, he didn't pop out of he wasn't hiding behind a rock. He wasn't like inside a cave or like under the ground. He just literally walked into their field of view. Like, there was no jumping out of anything. He just kind of walked in. And then he was just like, oh, and then everybody freaked out. And then you're just like, oh, hey guys, sorry, I was over here. I was like, are you kidding me?
It's like a fake one like that. Yeah.
And I was just like, that is so cheap. And like, here's why I hate all that kind of stuff and things. It should be like very, very like Frank said, in a way that makes it more complicated, is that a jump scare doesn't really add anything to the plot. It just raises your overall stress baseline for the rest of the game, or like for the rest of that moment in the game. Like, because you're like, oh, I got freaked out, and now you're just like, I'm in the alert mode, and I don't know if I should turn off my alert mode. I'm still going around. There's still scary things happening, and that can be used as a tool sometimes to like be like, okay, there's something bad nearby, and you need to watch out. Like in Alien, when there's a predator stalking you, and you need to be alert for that. But I definitely feel like games and movies both succeed so much more when there is something that you have to reach out for, like Nick talked about.
Can I give an example of a good jump scare?
Is going bad. Was that
example of a good jump scare? I know that you know what it is, and you guys can Google it. It's from a game that came out in maybe 2007. It's from Fear. The first Fear, and for those of you that haven't played the game, I'll just try to put you in the universe real quick. Fear is First Encounter Assault Recon. It is a group of people. They're the classic paranormal investigators, only it's like a military force. It's like SWAT team for paranormal. Like, that's what they do. And you go into this facility and people are dying and it's horrifying, like super paranormal stuff is happening, but there's no explanation. You find out this girl Alma died there, but she was like a psychic, some classic stereotypical government working on a little girl to be psychic, and it goes horribly wrong. One of those. And
that classic story.
yeah, it is a classic one. Like everybody knows that narrative. Like we wanted to make the perfect weapon, but we never knew she would be like this. And like so what you're doing is you're going through and it's quiet and you're in this like scaffolding and you go to go around an elevator, and everybody and like for our listeners, think about it. In a video game, when you're walking towards not an elevator, sorry, a ladder that goes down, you are going your field of view in an FPS game, you turn around and you mount the ladder and then you go down it, right? Like that's how it works. Right when you turn around, like you're not in control of the camera now, so it's like subtle. You turn around and the little girl in the red dress is just standing there at head level now, and she goes, and then it's gone.
Nope.
And you're like, oh Jesus! So now you're running down the ladder, right? You're terrified. Spoiler alert. You're running down the ladder because you're like Jesus, shit, and you get down, and then there's a hallucination of this demonic guy goes, and like right in your face, right when you get down, and he turns into ash before he hits you, and you just turn off the game, and then you come back to it later because it was so scary, and like stuff like that, like where they set up like this emotional trap for you. As a gamer or somebody that's watching something in horror, I can really appreciate that. Like that I'm down. I'm down for that. That's not the
well, and the other part of that, because that was totally where I was going to, is like that one moment is great because it's not telling you how to feel exactly in that situation. It's letting you get the feelings. Like you see she's standing there, but like when you turn around and see her, because I've been in that exact part in that game, and when you see her, she's just standing there. There's no giant like bam of music and the screen doesn't suddenly go all fuzzy or anything like that. Yeah. It's just literally she's standing there. And then you turn around and you're like, oh shit, those are feet right there. And then you like look up and she's standing there looking at you, and then you get that awesome sinking feeling when you're actually coming up with your emotions by yourself, not just getting shocked by some kind of stimuli, Okay. And then, of course, it does the double hit thing, which is awesome.
They tried to do the same thing in Fear 3. Did you mention it? One time in one of the missions, when you climb down a ladder, she's in, like, the middle of the ladder, so to speak, when you climb down.
Like on a different level, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they just tried to... But it wasn't that scary as you described from Fear 1, so I think they just tried to capitalize on it, on nostalgia. Or something.
Yeah. Didn't get far in Fear 3.
Fear 2 weirded me out towards the end.
Yeah, Fear 3 was also weird because it was co-op. I don't know. Like co-op a horror game? I don't know about that. I don't know.
Wasn't Left 4 Dead co-op? And like,
I wouldn't call that horror though. I call that like survival shooter, like wave defense. Okay. It had surprise elements to it.
Right. Okay.
But I was thinking that Friday the 13th game just came out, or it's coming out, and that's a survival horror multiplayer. I know very little about it, so I'm not going to talk about how it works. But I thought that, like, wouldn't it be fun if after this show, the 5 of us logged into a horror game together and got to like wander through scary shit and both be scared at the same time? Like that kind of courage that happens when you're in a group would be fun. Like, I scream like a little girl, you guys will find out, or something like that. Like that would be that most of you know.
Say that like
already.
It's an insult. Come on.
Yeah. For me, it probably it's anyway. So like that idea I think is really cool, and I can't think of any game that's done that.
Yeah, are there games like I don't personally know. Besides Fear 3, which I don't know, Andres, you could speak to it if they actually did make things scary as co-op.
No, not really. It's the same thing with Dead Space 3 that I co-op. It wasn't scary anymore.
What's that game called, Andres? Death Before Dawn? No. I'm not thinking of Until Dawn. I'm thinking of Dead Before Daylight. Is that a game?
Dead by Daylight, I think.
Dead by Daylight? Isn't that like a co-op? Like one of you's the killer and the rest of you are trying to flee, so it's scary for some of you. Yeah, have you played that?
No, I haven't, but I played another game called... wait, I have it here in the Steam. It it's the same thing. One is a monster, the others try to survive. And I played it with my friends, and it is a lot of fun to scare the shit out of people. It's called Damned on Steam.
See, I'd be down for that. That
Being
sounds
a
fun to me.
monster
Fun.
sounds
That
amazing.
sounds fun.
Or you
Once
could
a
Yeah.
monster,
add like one monster and like so say like 5 of us went in the game. Like we're not necessarily like in the same group. We're not on each other's side, but there's like one monster and we all have to like run from him and try to like survive like on our own. I think that would be interesting too. Because for me, I think the thought of like being chased by something that freaks me out a lot. Like that's why I'll never play that alien game. Like that's just way too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis creeped me out. That was one of the craziest things about Resident Evil 7 is that you would get followed around the house for a little bit if one of the family
You
members
haven't,
found you.
you haven't played Outlast yet, though. You haven't played Outlast.
I
and
know,
You're gonna
I
play
know.
Outlast. Everybody
I know.
tune into his stream for this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
It's
You don't
gonna
like
scare
people
the shit out
chasing
of
you.
me.
That's I think.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
It messes with me. There was a game back in '95, I think, because I looked it up, called Clock Tower, which was the same concept, and it was basically there was this creepy looking hooded character with a ginormous pair of scissors. Like seriously, the scissors were as big as you, and when he found you, he would cut your head off, cut you in half, whatever. And it was the same type of thing where you were wandering around this clock tower trying to figure out what was going on, why you were there, and every now and then Scissor, I don't know what the hell his name was, would just appear and just chase you around, and those games always screw with me. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to Outlast, but I'm gonna play it and it's gonna be wild.
I'm looking forward to
was
it.
that
man.
game on the PlayStation or
It's on both,
do
I
you
think.
remember where it was?
I think it's on both, yeah, because I think I put it on my Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was the original PlayStation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clock
I've seen
Tower's
a
PlayStation. Yeah.
playthrough of that. It looks very weird.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
derpy.
Namiria in chat brings up a good point that like Outlast, which I kind of want to talk about Outlast. I also want to talk about Silent Hill, but Outlast, like, it's scary because you can't do anything. There's nothing you can do, and the game is for those not familiar with Outlast game mechanic. I'm not going to spoil it because first off, just like Amnesia, both Outlast 1 and 2 have reasons for you to want to go, whether it is saving someone or finding out what the hell exactly is going on because of what you just saw. Like there's reasons to want to figure this out. But Outlast, the mechanic it's very similar to Amnesia, but the mechanic is you have a camcorder with night vision on it, and you have batteries, and when the batteries die, you are in the dark. And so you're literally going like looking around to see what's in the room with you, and then you got to put it down because you got to conserve your batteries, right? And now you're like looking up again. And Outlast is a game where if you are found, the funny thing about Outlast is the guy that's you is in the best shape of anybody ever. Because he just literally parkours away from these guys, like you can vault and stuff, but you're running and there's this mechanic that you can hit in the game where you turn around and see what's behind you for a second while you're running. So like, it's like you're going like looking back over your shoulder, and it's terrifying because you're like running from this person that's like laughing and like, you're a pretty one and like coming after you and you're running, you look back and he's way closer than you thought he was. And it's so terrifying. The only thing that Outlast 1 and Amnesia kind of both suffered from was being able to abuse the AI a little bit. There was
stupid.
Yeah, there's like certain corners you could just go climb under a bed and they'd just be like, I must be around here somewhere, and then just like stop chasing you and go back. But like the suspense in that game is so awesome. There's a scene in mild spoiler for Outlast 1. Miles, not very good. There's a scene that like in that game where it's teaching you the game mechanics of how to hide, like it's a classic, but it doesn't hold your hand. It just shows on the security camera somebody terrifying coming into the room behind you. Like they're gonna be coming. They're gonna be here soon. So it's like barricade the door. So okay, we're gonna press X to barricade the door or whatever. And then it says, if you can't run, you can hide. That's all it says. And there's these lockers, and you go and hide in one of the lockers, and this big giant dude just starts like opening the lockers one by one, like coming towards you. It's pretty awesome. And like I've never consumed so much alcohol while playing a game because I just like did not have the courage to play it. But like for those of you who haven't played Outlast, if you want to have a good time, play it with somebody that you know, or like have somebody over for it because it's an experience. It's fun.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely
Sure.
looking forward to getting the life scared out of me. So
I can't wait to watch it.
it depends on how long it takes me to
that
finish
sounds
Prey.
great.
So
I'm going to watch that for sure.
yeah,
Dude, there was this. Can I bring up a game?
of
Is it my
course,
turn?
yeah.
Okay. Because I have a thought. And that thought is what we were talking about before the cast, which was Slender, the 8 pages, I believe it was called, which was great. I don't play too many, but that one I played. Sovereign Nick played it as well. We played it together multiple times, intoxicated many times. And it's a super simple game, but it was just genius. It was great. Like it was very tense, and I mean, I'm almost like going to go against my whole jump scare thing, but I think that was one of the games that did it well. It was just literally like I think about it in terms of being a developer, and if you take like the atmosphere that they added to it, and like there's fog and creepy music and stuff, he just removed it. It literally just is just like, okay, here's some trees, you know, like these are very generic trees, and then we've made some buildings, and they're basically kind of cubes, and the whole map is just kind of big, and you're just wandering around it, and you have a light, like I don't even know how long it took them to make this game, but just with minimal ingredients, they just had everything combined in such a way, the music and the main villain, which was the Slender Man. And if you guys don't know the lore of the Slender Man, he was made up on the internet. He was a big guy. He has these big long arms. He takes children and he destroys them in some way that I'm not even totally sure of, and became like this internet sensation and led to a couple of games. And you can only see him like through a camera, I think is the deal. So like in the game, you're looking at a camera. The mechanic is super simple in the game. You're just wandering around trying to avoid the Slender Man. The Slender Man doesn't even walk towards you. He just appears. And while you're doing this, your goal is to find the 8 pages. And there are 8 pages scattered throughout the map, and you gotta find them all. And you just gotta avoid the Slender Man. Super simple. And I remember that we were playing this thing, and you would be going through, and you get the first page super easy, and then you suddenly start hearing like this boom, 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 like this, like somebody's hitting like a timpani, like the super bassy, just like boom, boom, just over and over, and it just does not stop for the entire game. And it almost feels like some creature is like stomping or just like walking to the forest. It's just like this kind of like feeling of something is coming. And it like jives with this whole deal that the villain itself is not actually moving whenever like you see him. He's just there all of a sudden. And then as you get the next page, you start to have close calls, and like you are literally, the game is not, you're not supposed to ever see him, because if you see him, you die. But you tell that he's nearby because suddenly your screen starts to go staticky, and like then the music kind of kicks up a little bit, and there's like this piano hit, like and just all they did was just add these layers of atmosphere on top of what was really just like not impressive graphics at all. It was like not a lot of core gameplay elements at all. And they just took it, and what I feel like about that game is that they just took all the essential components of what scares the shit out of somebody, and then they just took only those, and you put them together and made this game like super fast. And it was just I think of horror games and I think of that game. Like, I don't know if Nick, you have any other thoughts about it, but like I don't know.
It was so simple. That was what made it so cool. Like I liked it for the same reason I liked only the first Paranormal Activity movie. It was super simple. The premise was really simple, and they did a lot with just understanding how being scared works. And that was what's cool about it. And that game also a lot of memories, man. We didn't even play it half the time. We made my roommate play it, and he just would like drink like a sailor and just play it and be like, "Let's go! I don't care." Like we'd be scared like watching it behind him. But that game's up there too. But that's more of a if if there was a horror game that was Tetris, that would be it. Like, it's simple, it's rinse and repeat, and it's see how far you can get. It's very rare for people to beat that game because the pages are randomized. It's not like you go to one and it's the same map. You died. It's the same map. It's reset. The pages are somewhere. Find 8 of them. Go before he kills you. And every time that you find it, he's now more present and he appears more often. And there's a game that I played for a little bit that I wanted to bring up, but I wonder if you guys had. Well, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Do you guys have any other horror memories or thoughts or opinions?
Not about games, but since you brought up Paranormal Activity, I still occasionally wake up at night and hear a fan or something in the other room just making that low droning noise in the middle of the night, and it scares the shit out of me. If you've seen the movie, you'd understand what I'm talking about. But
Yeah, I watched that
Yeah, I
video.
think I remember.
Or
yeah,
the movie.
just that loud when shit was about to go down.
I
Wake up in the middle of the night and it's dark
at like
and
midnight
no.
by
Yeah, it's
myself
scary.
on my laptop. That was not a good decision.
You see a Paranormal 7 where like the aliens turned out that they were from the 5th dimension and they were actually your best friend in disguise. Dude, I don't know what I'm talking about.
It would be
I just know that-
the funny thing is, I'm going through my head. I'm like, wait a minute, did they get up to 7? And then he's talking about the aliens. I'm like, no, they didn't.
All I know is that they're at least on like the 6th or 7th one. I have no idea
Yeah.
what they're doing. But,
It's
It got like
funny.
progressively worse.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw 3 in theater and I was so disappointed. And there was a couple of schoolgirls sitting in front of us that were screaming at everything. A
Right.
car drove by, oh, let's scream at that. A pan moved slightly, let's scream at that.
Kids scare easy, man.
You should have kicked her out, man.
Her was like 12 of them.
Wow, that must have been
Dude,
fun.
you can take them.
Dude, you should, what you do is you start rocking back and forth. You go, don't feel good. Don't feel good. No, all right, we're going to scary movie. Don't feel good. And then they'll just leave. Just do that till they leave. And then start saying like the ABCs or something. The game I want to talk about is called SCP Containment Breach. And I played it for a little bit when it was still in like alpha. I don't even know if it came out and was released yet, to be honest. Are you guys familiar with SCP, that whole
Yes.
fandom?
Yes.
I know what Daniel is. Okay, I'm going to summarize it real quick. SCP stands for Special Containment Protocol. And interrupt me if I'm wrong, guys. And it is, I don't know how it started. I'm not very into it. I'm just aware of it. And it is a fandom wiki where people have created this fictional organization that's SCP. And their job is when there's something paranormal or anomalous that is either dangerous or could somehow corrupt reality or people or it could be anything. They take it and then hold it and can secure it somehow. An example would be, I'm making this up, SCP-481, an orange that will get progressively heavier the longer someone looks at it. This is what it could potentially do to the world. It's the supernatural stuff, right? It's really weird, random stuff. It needs to be under no circumstances. So, like, there's one SCP that I can't remember its name, but it's basically, here's what it is. If anyone sees its face via camera or via like in real life or picture, it will become unstoppable, travel at unbelievably fast speeds, and it always says redacted in the writing, and then kill the person. And it's like these horror stories that are created, almost like these creepy pasta creatures that are created. And the game, and the whole idea of SCP is it's almost like scientists too. And so the game is you're what's called a D-class personnel, which is like somebody on death row that goes to this facility, and they use you to interact with these things to see what they do to you.
This
And,
seems incredibly moral and ethical.
Yeah. So like that's it. So you were one of the D-class personnel, and there's this SCP-173. Is that what it's called? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's
Sounds like
it's
that,
a
yeah.
thing made completely of stone. No one knows where it came from. Google it. It looks creepy as hell, and it cannot move if someone is looking at it, much like the angels from Doctor Who, if you're familiar. But if you're not looking at it, it moves at neck break speeds and will kill anyone and anything around. And so they have it in a room with cameras, and somebody is watching the camera 24 hours a day. Like, that's how they do it. and then the game starts out with a power outage, and you hear like this rock like rolling like across the floor, following people screaming, and then like power comes back on, and it's like right there, and like that's one of the many things that you encounter while playing this game, and it's so scary because you have these mechanics where you read about this SCP. Okay, I have to look at it and it can't get me. That's the thing. Okay, so you have to walk backwards out of the room looking at this thing and then run, and you can hear it like coming after you or whatever. And there's other things that you encounter, but it was horrible graphics because it wasn't finished. It was sub like N64 graphics, but it was so just the way it played out was so scary. You guys should look it up. It's called SCP Containment Protocol, or SCT Containment, I think.
Breach, SCP Containment Breach.
Containment Breach, yeah, because it gets out.
I think it was made in the Half-Life engine. That's why the graphics isn't the best.
Okay.
But the guy that made that game is really passionate. You can tell you that because he has the mechanics in that game. They can do is phenomenal, from what I've seen from videos.
So just as like a general thought about horror games, and I'm curious what you guys think about. I like things that are scary, but only in certain circumstances. Because for me personally, I'm super wussy about that stuff. Like, I don't watch scary things before I go to bed. I'm not above putting a light on before I go to bed so I can see things. I'm going to admit that.
You're right there with me, man.
Yeah, there you go. It's some people are weak. I'm one of them. But there's this certain type of horror, and then there's certain other type of horror, and I feel like what I enjoy more in terms of like thinking of it as a more substantial experience is something that really gets under your skin. Like Frank, you were talking about Paranormal Activity, and like this whole demonic possession thing, like that gets under my skin because it's like the setting is your kind of life, regular people living a life, doing their thing, and then suddenly your person, like someone you love is not acting the way they should be, and like suddenly weird stuff is starting to happen, and this weird stuff is a lot like what you hear and experience during the night every day, and so that kind of scariness gets under your skin, and like I'm just like you, Frank. I just start, like when that kind of stuff happens, like I just think about it. It comes up in my head, suddenly like there's a weird noise back there. I'm just like, and then like from then on for like a good 5 hours, I'm just like, I'm just like, okay. Just like looking back at me, like seeing if something's going on back here, or like over here. And like, that can last for years, just like these kind of like residue of things. What I think is a fun horror experience is something like Amnesia: The Dark Descent, where it's like, oh, you're in a creepy castle. So my brain is like, this story takes place in a creepy castle in this fictional timeline or whatever, and 200 years ago, and that's never where I'm gonna be. Like, I can never be in that place, like that's never going to be close to what I am. Like, this is a very scary thing, and I'm observing it from far, far away, and like. And my brain and my emotional core can kind of make that connection. And I can do that. And then I go and play that. And I'm like, okay, that was a very scary place way over there in a different setting and in a different frame of mind, in a different universe, and like I can go back to that. And like, I find that I appreciate games.
Can I interrupt you to say the irony of the game is that in that game specifically, the main character's name is Daniel.
His name's Daniel, by the way, and my
they just keep being like, Daniel, you can't escape Daniel. Like that had to break you out of the suspension of belief a little bit, right?
I don't know. Maybe. I honestly don't have a specific memory where that did that. And now that I think about it, probably should have. But yeah, that was funny. But anyway, like my basic idea is just like I find that games that keep you nice and far away from the danger are good, but then at the same time, something that I have a real genuine appreciation for psychological things that get into your head, which reminds me of another game called Nevermind, which I don't know if you guys have heard of Nevermind. It's a super short game. just came out recently. Andreas knows every single game that has ever existed, so of course he knows about Neverland. But if you don't mind, I'm going to explain it real quick, unless you want to take a go at it. And it's just like Andreas is like 3 hours long, right? Like 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh,
And the big deal with it was that you put the game on and then you take like electrodes or something or some kind of a thing. You attach stuff to your computer. You attach these sensors and you put them. I think they're like electrodes you put on your head, or you put something on your finger, right?
Yeah.
Is that true? Yeah, you put a pulse monitor on your finger, and the game is monitoring your heart rate as you're, playing it, and it is calculating how scary to make the game based on what your heart rate is. So you're going through this game, and it's like the game is not super like hands-on in terms of how it's freaking you out. It's like you're walking through a house. You're like, it's kind of like a Assassin's Creed type dipping into somebody's memories kind of situation where you're like in the pseudo world with the house you're walking through and stuff. But there are just various weird things that happen, and then like the weird things change and grow. Like things will grow, like it'll be like a scary mask over here in the room that you're exploring, and then your heart starts beating faster, and then suddenly the face like is turning to look at you, and like it's getting bigger, or like something's changing there, like that kind of a thing, and like it's a super short game, but it's just basically super psychologically manipulative, and like that kind of thing. I'm like, that's super scary, but I'm extremely interested in that sort of a interactivity, and like the new level of interactivity that you can attain for horror games, really all kinds of games, but it was really interesting to see how it could be implemented in that way. Personally, I did not play it. I watched somebody else play it. I would never do that because it would be
Neither would
catastrophic.
I.
See, that's but you say that you attach something to you. I think that we talked about VR and how it's like super niche, but I think that one of the environments it does thrive in is horror. I mean, you want to be scared or you want that thrill. That's it. That's the ticket.
We talked about it in a very early episode, but that was one of the things that people were saying about Resident Evil 7. That was the first full game where they felt like, okay, this is no longer a tech demo. This is showing what VR can actually be, and it's actually really good in VR. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Oh, I know. It would totally mess me up. And that's back to the AI from earlier and about this, checking your pulse or whatever. That's where, modern technology allows them to do more and expand more. That's where you move beyond hiding under the bed and abusing the AI, and you move to, oh no, the AI is intelligent enough to come check that under the bed because they know they just saw you go in that room. You know what I mean? And that's where technology allows them to build smarter bad guys and makes it more scary, more immersive. Go ahead, Narza.
Be around here somewhere.
Yeah.
In Amnesia, you could literally have something in front of your face and
Dude,
the monster can
exactly.
find you.
I was gonna say the same thing. You literally just run and go stand in the dark in the corner and just wait for them to go away.
Or you could grab a box and put it in front of your face and they couldn't see you because you didn't have line of sight to them.
That's hilarious. Which is, it's funny you mention that because in Prey, when they're trying to teach you in the tutorial, the first part of the game, it was in the demo too. I'm not really spoiling anything. You're in a room where they're trying to test you, and they ask you to hide in the room, and there's nowhere really to hide. And we talked about weenies before with Zelda, where like the game, you could see there's something right in front of you. The game wants you to go hiding behind it, and obviously it's scripted or whatever, and they're prepared for it. There's a chair in front of you. You go hide behind the chair, and they all look at each other like, is he hiding behind the chair? Is he really hiding behind the chair? So it's funny you mention it, Andre. It's like if you don't have line of sight in the older games, they think you weren't there. But this game clearly, like, yeah, we can still see you. You're standing behind the chair, you idiot. What are you doing?
They just start scolding you. And just breaks the whole
exactly.
They're just like, we can see you there, dude. Just like,
yeah. Oh, it's so funny. And they're like, oh, you're doing great. Everything's fine. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And then she's like, the mic is on. Oh, you're doing great. Move to the next room. It's pretty funny and pretty cool. It kind of sets the tone for the early game. Andreas, did you have anything more specific that you wanted to go? I wasn't sure that you played much horror stuff, but I know you said you played Fear.
I played I played the Amnesia. I played the
Okay.
Penumbra great games. Played games like Dead Space. And what I was gonna ask you guys is, have you ever been so scared in a video game or from a movie that you had not been able to move for a couple of seconds afterwards?
Game, no. Movie, yes. And the movie, I think it had more to do with how and when and where I was watching it than actually the movie itself, because in hindsight, it's one of my favorite movies. The movie was Event Horizon. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Lawrence Fishburne was in it.
We don't need eyes where we're going.
Yes.
That movie's fucked up, dude.
Yes, it's a very fucked up movie. Anyway, for whatever reason, I was at my grandmother's house. I was staying with my dad for the weekend, and he was living with his mom in between houses or whatever. We stayed there, and I woke up for some reason at like 2 a.m. All right, I'm gonna go out and watch a movie. So I wander out to the living room, and it is pitch black. Everybody's sleeping. All the lights are off. And I'm sitting there watching Event Horizon on a big screen. And it came out in the 90s, so I'm a teenager at the time. And I'm watching it. Scared shitless. I'm looking over my shoulder. I hear noises in the house. So yeah, that movie scared the fuck out of me. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that it was 2 a.m. I was alone. It was dark as hell in the house. But yes, absolutely. Never had that happen with a game, though.
It happened to me when I was playing a game called, I think it was called Cryo Fear. It came out about the same time as SCP Containment Breach, because it uses the Half-Life engine too. And there's a point in that game where you get to a forest, and a Halloween decoration drops down from a tree. It's not a monster or anything. And when I played that game, I got so scared I couldn't physically move for 5-6 seconds because of the pure shock I got from that, because nothing had happened for a while in that, and I had no idea why that made me freeze up like that, because I've seen worse jump scares and they haven't done that to me, so I have no idea.
Wow.
I can't play Silent Hill games because I saw somebody playing it and I was so scared by it. I was like younger, like one of the earlier games, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Dude, those games like that Japanese horror survival art style, that shit's scary to me. I don't know why. Like more so than other stuff.
The first movie kind of fucked me up too. I don't know if any of you guys saw that.
Well, I watched like half the movie. I had to turn it off.
Yeah, the games are way worse.
Yeah.
I want to give that an honorable mention because I can't play it, and it's like, I guess I'd argue that there are other games that are scarier than that, but it's just something about the environment that I don't know. I don't really like those kind of games. Like I'm not a huge fan of the Resident Evil games either. It's that same kind of like Japanese style player. Like, but I don't know. I don't know what it was about that game. I recognize those are extremely scary. A game that recently came out that I wanted to like put on your guys' radar is, it's a horror platformer, and it's only rated T for teen, but it's called Little Horrors, I think. Pretty Little Horrors. Let me make sure. I watched someone play it for a good 2 hours, and it's a platformer. Hold on a second. I'm gonna find out the Pretty Horrors. Somebody help me find this game. It's a platformer, and it's like you're just like a little girl or a little kid wearing a rain jacket, and you're running from all of these grotesque fat humanoid where the wild things are on acid things are chasing you. So you're doing the platformer, and these things are coming after you while you're doing the platformer. So you have to get away, basically. And they're like trying to eat you, and they're in like chef's outfits and bus driver outfits, and they're so fat they're like crawling behind you. It's so fucked up, and it's rated T. Like, it's not like super gory as much as just the art style is disturbing. It's like if you asked like Tim Burton to make a really fucked up platformer but not have too much gore. You guys should look at it. I'll mute myself and figure out what it's called.
It sounds like it's Little Horrors, and it's is it an MMO? Did you say that?
Oh, it's just platformer.
Oh, platformer. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Platformer puzzle or something.
Yeah, if we think of it, we'll
Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, yeah. I've seen the
art
cover
style
art
for that game. Holy shit,
it just
dude.
came out. You're right. Okay. Because I've been looking for recent games to play, and I've seen that cover before. So okay.
Yeah, just Google image
well
search,
rated.
and you can see what these things that chase you around look like, and you realize why you're scared too. But that game's scary as shit.
Almost looks kind of like Walls and Grommets. I got
Yeah,
by that
but
when I
like Wallace and Gromit's kind of inherently scary for some reason too. I don't know, like just the way the art style is. But yeah, that's a game that recently came out that I was like, oof.
It does look like it has a touch of Tim Burton in there. You're right. Yep. Yeah, Resident Evil. The Miriam mentions in the chat. Resident Evil 1 was scary. The first couple were scary, and then they got very. That was what was so great about 7, is because 7 went back to the feel of the original games. Whereas like 4, as great as it was, 5 and 6, as horrible as it was more action based, and it really wasn't scary. It was just you're just running around killing zombies. But the first game in particular, and it had, it was probably the first jump scare I've ever come across in a game, and it was that fucking dog that jumped through the damn window as you're walking down the hallway, and it was definitely really creepy wandering around that old house. If you can get past the horrible voice acting. The remake on the GameCube was actually phenomenal. So if anybody out there has still never played that, definitely play that game. The Mirror is right. It was scary and good, and it was a trend center. I mean, that was the first survival horror game that hit it big. I don't believe it was the first, but it was the first one that really went mainstream and got people interested in that genre. So it's definitely worth going back and playing.
I think the original Silent Hill games are like that too. Like they're just like, I guess those are like the first real popular ones I can remember.
Right. All right. So unless anybody else has anything critical they really feel the need to get out, I think it's time to head on to Nick and let you take us home, buddy.
One of these days we'll get the rights to closing time, and we'll play during that. Well, as always, thanks for coming by, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. We love to have you in. I want to invite you guys back the next time we do this. Unfortunately, we're not sure about next week. We want to do something. I think we will be doing something. What form that takes, we're not sure yet. And then the following week we will take off. But just follow us on Twitter at LegacyGamesCast, and we'll update you guys and let you guys know what's going on. Frank's also really good about getting in there and posting stuff on the Twitch about what's going on too. So just stay tuned for that. But we're just a group of friends that want to talk about games, and we want to talk about stuff. And as we kind of grow up as a podcast crew and look to do other stuff, we'd love to have your feedback and love to have your involvement. So I'd like to, on behalf of everybody here, thank you and extend an invitation for you guys to come hang out in the future. We're excited. We're going to be playing Overwatch. We're going to be playing Destiny 2, and that comes out for sure. So love to meet some of you guys, love to play with some of you guys, and we hope you have a fantastic week. And once again, Frank, if you want to list off where you can find us.
Yeah, right here on Twitch, obviously, Legacy Gamescast. We're on iTunes under Legacy Gamescast. There's a feed burner, however you like to get your podcasts, for the audio version, which usually comes out on Sundays. If you have questions for us, please send us emails, legacygamescast@gmail.com. I have a tentative schedule right now from at least 3 of us as far as when we'll be streaming and generally what we'll be streaming right now. I'm going to add that to the profile on Twitch. Just follow us here, check us out. We're going to be trying to stream as much as we can. I'm streaming Prey. Andreas, I think you're still streaming Metro. Shazam is streaming Talos Principle. So we got a lot going on. We're going to keep trying to keep this channel busy as best we can moving forward. That's about it.
Awesome. Well, unless anybody else has any shout outs or anything, you guys, we feel content. We happy.
Watch Legion. Legion is a good show. Watch Legion.
Watch.
Yeah, I heard it's good.
I just want to slip that in there. Just Legion. Watch that show.
Which was actually very surprising, because it's like, I stopped trusting Fox years ago. Not just Fox News, I don't trust them either. But I stopped trusting Fox because there'll be a nice, real popular genre show on there, and I'll be watching it, and it'll get canceled after 6 episodes. And I saw Legion, I'm like, there's no way they're gonna do anything good with that, you know, because if you know the comic or whatever, like, they're not gonna get anything right. And all I keep hearing is how good it is. So I'm actually surprised, and I might have to check it out.
If the Legion is not about the Romans, I'm not interested.
It's not.
It's not about the Romans.
Well,
Andres,
fuck
you just
that
get
then.
over
No,
yourself.
Andreas, it is.
It's an
You just
X.
have to wait till the end.
I'm not
You have
gonna
to
watch
wait
it.
till
It's
the
an
end.
X-Men show.
It's
Well, fuck
about the
that,
Roman
I
legions.
don't like
I mean, it's not
superhero movies.
it's not really connected. It's not like a superhero show. I don't think it's really connected to the X-Men, but that's where the character came from.
There's 2 people that are of Roman descent in the show.
Yep, there you
You should
go.
watch it.
Yeah, Centurions. Yep,
Confirmed.
absolutely. You're right.
Yeah, man. 100% confirmed.
So no, I think that's it. I think we're good, Nick.
All right. Well, until next week. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.